It's not up to us to agree that their idea matches our idea. It's up to us to see the Lord. Your idea of God, your idea of Jesus, it's the same as mine. That's insecurity. So I'll listen to you. I'll see the Lord in you. That's not what Jesus did. Jesus said the kingdom, don't you get it? It's in you. Peter didn't even get it until John 21. He didn't even get it until after the third resurrection, and I don't even know if he got it then. Appearance of the Lord after the third time he appears after the resurrection. This wasn't a guy that even had necessarily good intentions, guys. Jesus saw the kingdom in Peter. Jesus spoke things over Peter. That's just one day driving my kids to school, seeing the kingdom in Zane's life. You won't even have to teach him. You got to see it in them. Get ears and eyes to see. Emma, my daughter Emma, before she ever accepted Jesus into her heart, it's on the Between Earth and Sky DVD. I made them turn it up in the mix. She walks up to me in the middle of this song that we're singing. We're just finally getting into a flow, it felt like, with people, and music was going and everything. And Emma comes walking up to me and she says, Daddy, 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 Daddy. And she's stuttering and she says, because she's scared in front of all the people, and she says, Daddy, can you please play it a little quieter? And the minute we started playing it a little quieter, this song, this spiritual song comes, where we just begin to sing. Breaking off rejection with the spirit of adoption. Look beyond the window there to the sky above, to the open air. And on that CD it kind of goes. And my wife and I have always been ones that want to make just records of events for our kids and records of songs for our kids. We're not trying to make productions necessarily. We just want to make records of moments and worship and life. And hopefully that's an encouragement to the body, but it's not really a production. It's just a record so that our kids will have it too. Songs that we write together and things that happen. So that was let's put that out because see, that's an event. So many thousands of people around the world have been touched by that. And one of my friends told me it was okay if I shared this. David Tyree last year, when they won the Super Bowl and they had that miracle catch. Remember David Tyree and the Giants? He has that miracle catch. And he's just one example of a guy that the minute he heard that CD, that specific moment just laid down on the floor and for hours was delivered just listening to that. God ministered to him. What does that mean? It means my daughter, before she ever said, I believe in Jesus as my Lord and Savior, she was 4. She led, by the movement of the Spirit, she led her father and corrected the direction that I was taking as the leader. And I listened to her, thank God. And she directed that worship service. When she doubts when she gets older, if she ever hears from God, I could say, even when you weren't even trying to hear from God, you heard from God. And look at all of these letters and all these people that were completely changed forever in their relationship with the Father because you were 4 and you weren't trying and you heard from God. Not even trying, the Spirit of the Lord was moving through you. Not even knowing the right thing, stuttering and trying to say it because you're so scared. You were hearing, and you were not only hearing from God, the presence of the Lord is just in your life. She hadn't even accepted Jesus. I remember the day that she accepted Jesus into her heart. My wife called me up. I wasn't there, and she knew I was going to be frustrated. She said, I couldn't help it. It's just tonight, she said, we're sitting in bed, and she's going to bed, and I said, you know, Emma, you can accept Jesus in your heart, and it'll make your heart feel better. So Emma, like I say, she's just all for that. So she says, okay. So she says, all right, I'll do it. So Rachel said, you want to do it right now? She said, yeah, I want to do it right now. You don't want to wait till Daddy gets home? No, I don't want to wait till Daddy gets home. I want Jesus to come into my heart right now and make it feel better. So Rachel said, all right. So she leads her in the prayer. Well, she's crying, and Rachel's crying, and so, Rachel's crying. Emma wasn't crying. She was saying, why are you crying, Mommy? Mama was crying. Jesus, come into my heart. I want you to be my Savior. The whole prayer. And Rachel says, Emma. Emma says, what? Does your heart feel better? Yeah, Mommy, my heart feels better. Mommy. What, Emma? Guess what? What? Did you know that you can invite Jesus into your eyeballs? And it'll make your eyeballs feel better. Have you ever done that, Mommy? No, Emma, I haven't done it. Do you want to do it? Yeah, I want to do it. So that night, Rachel received Jesus into her eyeballs. Lastly, you may have heard this story, but I'll just share it briefly with you again. My son saw Jesus hanging on a cross and saw the pain. It looked painful. To be honest with you, if it was up to me, I don't know that I would have had him see it. I mean, he was 5 at the time, and he saw this picture of Jesus in a little book. It was obviously not the Jesus, but you know what I mean. You know what I'm talking about. In those books, and he sees them all bloodied and beat up, and it just shocked Samuel and stayed with Samuel. And so Samuel comes into my office one day, my worship room one day, and he says to me, he says, Daddy, I want to write a song about Jesus. I said, really? He said, yeah. It was just a couple weeks before Easter. And I said, well, what do you want to say? And he said, well, I'll sit here with my guitar, and you sit over here with your guitar, and then I'll tell you the words, and you write the song. And I said, okay, so what are the first words, Samuel? He said, hey, Jesus. I said, all right, hey, Jesus. What's next, Samuel? He said, he asked this question. He said, are you still on the cross, or are you feeling better? So I wrote that down. And if you're feeling better, will you come down and play with me? So this goes on for a while. We're writing this together. I said, hey, how about we say it this way? Won't you come down, 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 down to the ground? Just to give you the context, I mean, it takes a while to write and do this, but by this time, he's got the staff of the guitar over his head and his thumb in his mouth, and he's laying there on the couch, and he sits up, he says, yeah, Daddy, I like that. Tell him to come to the next to me place. I wrote down that word, that phrase, the next to me place. I'd never heard of that before. Smile on my face, I said, and a song in my ear, and he said, yeah, Daddy, and around and around and around and around and around we go. He said, second verse wasn't written that day. It was written, second verse was written because I've been teaching my son to use his imagination and see the Lord. So when he's at school, sometimes he feels scared or nervous. And I say, well, just close your eyes and look to Jesus. And you'll see Jesus in the room and wave at him. He'll wave back to you. And I just kind of leave it up to the Lord. So one day I go up to his bedside and put him in the bed at night, and he's sniffling. He says, Daddy, I said, what? He said, today I was waving at Jesus, and he didn't wave back to me. I'm just an artist, you know. I don't really think. Thank God I didn't think about it too much. The first thing that came to my mind was I said, that would be an unbelievable verse for, second verse to our song, Sam. I said, hey, Jesus, when I wave at you, do you wave back too? By that time, it was amazing.